Hello everyone. So I decided to interview my mom. We did our interview over the phone because we do live far away from each other and I'm busy at work. So we just did it over the phone to meet the time frame. Some of the difference between us is my mom is a Gen X and I am a millennial. I think another difference is the way that we were raised. She wasn't raised around either of her parents too much throughout her life, as opposed to was raised around both of my parents. So it kind of plays like a big key in how we were brought up and what we were taught in our values. I think some of the similarities, I think we both work in healthcare, and both of us were actually like inspired and influenced by family members. Like her mom worked in healthcare, and then so did her sister. So it made, it's kind of how she chose to work in healthcare. And then the same with me, like my mom works in healthcare, and my older sister's an RN. So that kind of like chose the path for me. It's what kind of inspired me, was hearing them talk about it and seeing them accomplish that. Um, and then another thing, kind of like it's similar, is we both grew up going to church. Like whenever I was younger, my mom introduced it to us, and we were always going to church. Like not on a daily basis, but just for like certain holidays or whenever we were with my grandparents, with my dad's side of the family. And then with her, she grew up going to church. And then kind of like as she got older, she quit going, quit attending services. And then whenever she had us kids is whenever she started reintroducing it and going. I think just to introduce it for us kids and try to see if it's something that we wanted to do. But now none of us attend church, even like for Christmases and Easter. And I think it's just because of a family thing. Just like family don't go, or we lost the ones that did go to church, and so we just didn't carry it on as a family tradition how we should have. Um, and then another value I think that me and her share is our good work ethic. And I think it's because, I think I get it from my mom, and that's what I always take pride in, is I have a good work ethic because of her. She never really taught it to me. I think I just observed it throughout the years, like watching her grow up and seeing what she accomplished. And then same for her. Like her mom was very hardworking, so she got her work ethic for her. So that's something that like I'm very proud of, and I know she's proud that she has, and proud that I have. Some differences is the way that we both raise our children. Like in the interview, she talked about how she was really sheltered as a child, and then having us kids, like we weren't too sheltered, just because like she worked so much. There were times whenever her and my dad were split up, so she was trying to raise. I have five siblings. She was trying to raise us on her own. So we were raised. My auntie helped raise us, and we weren't too sheltered. We were kind of, we didn't do our own thing, but we were kind of crazy. And if we got hurt, then it was just you're okay, but it wasn't too big of a deal. It was when she was sheltered. Um, like her mom didn't want her to get hurt or anything, and so I kind of am that way with my kids. Like I'm very like I shelter my kids, and like they're more dependent than they are independent. So that's kind of different, the way she was raised versus the way I was raised, and then the way that I'm raising my kids. And then another one, in her generation growing up, there was like a lot of playing outside, a lot of playing with your cousins. And you do see that now, like in our generations, but you also see a lot of young children like on electronics. They have iPads, or some of them have like phones at like 7, 8 years old. And a lot of them will just like stay inside and play on their phones rather than like go outside and do kid things. Um, and then I think technology has changed a lot. She talked about using like the old time computers with huge monitors, and like how technology has evolved over time. Like she talked about like working with the between like younger generation, older generation. Like the older generation, she had to teach them how to use the technology, and then the younger generation, she had to learn from them the newer things of technology that she didn't know. Um, so that was kind of like a big thing that changed for her as like she was growing up. And then some of the things, like the questions that I felt were intriguing, she kind of mentioned that the biggest like world event that happened that she can remember was 9/11, and it's only because she had so much going on in her life that she didn't really focus on what was going on around her up until that happened. Then she realizes there's so much more, happening with the world, and she just was just too busy trying to be a mom, trying to work, that she didn't really see those things until 9/11, and then she was able to open up her eyes and see more. Another thing we talked about was marriage, not being the same like back then as it is now. She kind of mentioned that it seems like back then, people like fought for their marriage more. They like divorce wasn't really an option to like nowadays. She said it seemed like newlyweds, whenever they fight, they kind of just like give up. But I also think like that might be a play with like marital role, because like back then you think like the wife stayed home, took care of the kids, and then the husband worked. But nowadays, like it's not like that. Like the women don't like to just stay home and take care of the kids. Like I know a lot of women that want to be independent and make their own money and not just stay home. They want to do both. Another thing that intrigued me was we talked about how her relationship was with her parents to how the kids are now with their parents. It was like a lot more respectful back then, opposed to now. Like you kind of see some disrespect. Not all kids are like that, but there are kids that are a lot more disrespectful, and she couldn't imagine talking to her parents the way that like she hears some kids talk to their parents. So that's like a big different thing, and it kind of opened my eyes because I do see it now that she brought it up. And this assignment, it just showed me that like the world around us is constantly changing, every day, but like as humans, we just adapt to it. We have to adapt to it. It's just the way that we keep on living. It's like a natural part of our life. We just adapt. We find new ways to survive, and then just continue on.